Hi, everybody. It's BJ Miller here, palliative care doc. And today we're here to answer another question that came in on the heels of our last webinar about the fundamentals of communication. So with that, over to you, Sonia.
Thank you, BJ. All right, I'm going to read out this question. It's a little long, but the question comes at the end. She said, I look after my parents since we live together. My mother is suffering from generalized anxiety disorder and she's afraid of dying. This fear is getting worse as she's growing older. I don't know how I can make her understand that death is not a bad thing. It's not as bad as it's shown it to be in movies. We are practicing Muslims and we believe in heaven and the afterlife, but she's still afraid. How can I help her? I feel that I have the most trouble communicating with her because of her fear of death. Her negative energy is far more stronger than my positive energy. Can you give me a solution?
Mhm. Well, so I don't mean to laugh at that important, big, complicated question. It's just more like, wow, I don't know that there is a solution per se. Um, A couple thoughts. So one is you mentioned generalized anxiety disorder. So if there's, with a diagnosis, an actual sort of, and this language may sound harsh because of the stigma, but if there's a mental illness at work, like generalized anxiety disorder, well then, of course, one piece of counsel would be to make sure that that's being treated adequately. And that usually means a mixture of medications and talking things through. So by treating her anxiety disorder, you might very well open up an ability for her to move beyond her anxiety and to think about the facts of her life, including her own death, etc. So that would be the first thing I would tend to. Um, Now, otherwise, in general, of course, a question like this, I don't know lots of details. It could make a difference here, but what I would say to you would be um, because fear is an emotion and we don't have necessarily control over our emotions, what come up for us. It may be asking too much of your mom to move past her own fear or to somehow put that aside. So sometimes what can happen, maybe almost paradoxically, is when I, as someone with patients or families, if I, if even if the goal is to move past fear and to open up a conversation around mortality, etc., sometimes the trick is to not even try to push past the fear. It may be that your mom needs to just be accompanied. She may need to just feel your presence and that you accept her, even with this quote unquote negative energy. That you're not trying to fix her or asking her to be anything but what she is. And that sort of mode of acceptance can sometimes be the thing that unlocks people to go a little bit further. Whereas if we're pushing to get someone to another place, some level against their own wishes or will, then we might incur defenses, and then you might get stuck in a sort of a antagonistic, dynamic around this question. And then the more you push, the more dug in our heels get. So again, my counsel would be to make sure that generalized anxiety disorder is well treated. And then secondly is to just see her for what she is, acknowledge the fear and acknowledge the negative energy, and maybe not try to fix it, not try to push past it. And over time, give that a few days or some time, let her sit with your acceptance of her. And then from there, maybe there'll be some willingness to push beyond or ability even to push beyond. And the last piece of counsel is this is her life, her death, and as entwined as we may be, your wishes for her can only go so far. And it just may be that she may not get to where you hope for her to get. Of course, the idea would be to continue to love her no matter what. So anyway, that's a stab at your question. I hope in there's a something of an answer for you. But I really, really appreciate this question because so much of the anxiety around situations like this can be because it can be so hard for us to see someone we love suffering. And this is where the central talent or skill set for working with folks towards the end of life is the ability to sit with things that we can't change. So it's asking even more of you in some ways, but that may be a very, very rich zone once you sort of accept her for everything that she is right now, again, that may open up a new portal. We'll see.
All right, great. Thanks so much, BJ.
Thank you.